and I didn't pay attention in your question. I'm sorry. Um, so my name is Matheus Paniza. I am 27 years old. I am married, and I live and I was born in São Paulo. I am electrical engineer. What else? And I love music. I am a musician. I play some instruments, in special the saxophone. I have a little and simple channel on YouTube. Some 2 months ago, I had a problem with my finger, and I didn't. Sorry, I stopped to record the videos. So I intended to return it now. I think it's that. About the question.
Perfect.
eh, about the question, I almost forget. Um, Let me see the question.
Uh,
Which
do you
book
like
is?
do you like to read books, first of all?
Okay, perfect. I'm not fun to read books. I prefer academic books, but I try to read, but it's a complicated task for me since I was little. But I try. I have some books because I know of the importance to read books.
Perfect. Thanks, Matheus. And
Thank
what
you.
about you, Felipe? Can you introduce yourself, please? And
Yeah.
do you like to read books?
Mm-hmm. My name is Felipe Lira. I am 45 years old. Currently, I'm living in Recife with my wife, my daughter, and two pets. I work with information technology about 15 years. Mm, my free time, I like to go to the beach, travel to countryside in my region here, my state, and that's it. About books, I prefer, as Mateus, I prefer read technical books, because my job is demand a lot of technology. It's constantly updated, the technologies. Because of that, I prefer, two reasons, no? I prefer to read technical books for two reasons. Because I like the subject and because it's technology to me, my job, to keep it current, keep it updated. That's it.
Yeah, and I have to say that uh, I prefer lecture books, but today I'm reading more technical books because, as you, Philip, I work with technology. So I decided, yeah, I definitely need to start to work with to study with books. So I started to read books about technology, data, and many um, different topics. For example, money, routine. So topics like that. And Felipe, how did you develop the habit of reading books?
I confess I'm not fun. When I was young, I'm I was not fun to read books. But because the when I start to work with technology, it's I I had to read, because I I need to learn how the things works, protocol. Because of that, I I read a lot of books, and until now I developed this love for read technical books. That's it, my friend. Was a demand of my job. Make me develop the love to for reading.
Yeah, it was not a hobby, it was a work basically.
Yeah.
And what about you, Matheus? How did you develop the habit of reading books?
So because of the school subjects, I needed to read some specific books, uh, and for academic needs. I think is that for these reasons.
Nice. Yeah, I have to say that when I was younger, I I used it to read more than now. Now I think this is the reason that Philip said that this is because of my work. So it's not um something that give me so much pleasure as when I read in some fantasy book, for example, Harry Potter. When I read some book like this, I just love that moment. My mind just is take a breath of working of the routine, and I go to a new place. And guys, when you are reading a book about technology or engineer, uh, are you engineer? Am I right, Josh?
Yes, great, perfect.
Yeah. So, Matheus, when you are reading engineering book, do you start to think about your work? How can you apply that information? Because it's something that we start to read and start to connect to some dots to to how we can use that.
Yes, perfect. There is no doubt. Usually, I am used to imagine how can I to apply the tools that I am reading, but usually the the practice is different of the theory. And sometimes I try to understand how to realize that I'm reading my job or in another situation.
Yeah, in the theory, it's perfect. Everything works, but in practice, it's a mess. And what about you, Philip? Do you do the same?
Yeah, the same thing. Usually, the technical books that I read, uh, there is a simple, or there is a part of the explanation about technology, and after that we have a section about the example and practical, no, practical and commands, show commands to show how the protocol works. So, but as Matthew said, it's different, you know. When you usually I try to simulate in my environment, you know, in real environment to, how can I say, acquire more the technology, because it's different. You know? You read the example and you execute the example, no, to fix the technology. That's it, to fix.
Yeah, and
Fix, I don't know, it's called fix, but not fix. Fix é consertar, né? But to,
yeah,
I don't know the word, uh, to learn more, you know. That's it.
Yeah,
to put it in practice.
yeah. To
Put it
hold
right.
the technology. Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
mhm.
and I think that sometimes it happens because we are doing that for the first time. So we are beginners basically on that. So we are putting practice. We are not sure about that. For example, my favorite book is Storytelling with Data. I love so much that book because I work with data and that book shows the best practice of visualization. So to me, that book is amazing, but it's hard to put in practice because we need to test, we need to contact the area, try and try to solve it the best way. So it's hard to put it in practice. And what is your favorite book, Philip? And why?
I don't have a favorite one because there are many books, but I consider books about designer. It's my favorite about designer. Small, medium, in big scenarios. What kind of technology is better? What kind of device is better? Think like that about the designer. Because if you build a good designer, the chance the project uh, be successful it's high, is high. That's it. Books about the designer.
Yeah, but it's like modeling
Modeling? What? Could
a
you?
project,
Yeah,
or it.
project in my area, about the technology, about network, for example, network. You
Oh,
have a scenario when you need to connect devices around the road. How I will design this kind of topology, you know, things like that.
great.
Which protocol we are using, how many devices I will use, redundancy to avoid the fail,
Yeah, and it depends of the quantity of people that are using at the same time.
Exactly,
Guys,
exactly,
it's
exactly,
crazy.
exactly. The type of the data, voice, video, things like that. I like
Yeah.
so much that.
Yeah, and I have to say that I complain, for example, when I'm filling some form and I have to put CPF or the cell phone number and it allows letters, for example. You should allow just number. This is not it should be allowed letters.
Mhm.
So it's something that we need to think about before share these kind of forms. Many things to think about. And what about you, Mateus? What's your favorite book and why?
Well, 4 years ago, in the beginning of the pandemic, I read the Outwitting the Devil from Napoleon Hill, and I liked a lot uh, this book because it gave me a lot of reflections. So it's considered an important book for me.
Great. And what about books out of your area? Because last year I read The Psychology of Money, and that book changes my life. I have to say that I'm not a good person to deal with money. So I had some problems with money, and when I read that book, helps me a lot.
Yes,
So, uh,
I can imagine.
yeah, and what about for you, Mateus? What different book why is important for you and why?
Uh, about the kind of books. Uh,
Not necessarily. You can choose just one book that was important for you.
uh, okay. So actually, the book most important for me is the Bible. I'm a Christian, and I like a lot to read the Bible. Also, although I I don't read uh, usually, but my opinion is the most important book for me.
Perfect. And what about you, Philip?
Um, related to other books, I didn't read the book, but I listened the audiobook about the Kaizen 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 method. It's about Japanese philosophy where say the we need to have a constant small things, but a small improvement. You know, it's the subject. This book is about small improvement. It's better than you try to change your life in few days, for example. No, it's better to have a small and constant improvement during your whole life. It's interesting because it's a way to improve your life in English or in study. It serve for all area of if you want what you want. That's it. But I only listen the audio
Yeah,
before
but
to sleep. I have put the audio books and listen the book.
it's really interesting because I do not have the habit, and I have to say that I have never heard an audiobook, so I don't know how it works. Do you have the habit to use audiobooks, Philip?
Me or
Yeah,
Matheus?
you.
Yes, yeah. I have some audiobooks in my cell phone, my mobile. When I have time, when it's possible, I like to listen the book. I prefer than read. I prefer to listen.
Nice. And what about you, Matheus? Do you have the habit to listen audiobooks?
No, particularly I don't.
Yeah, just like me. And still talk about books, audiobooks, and technologies. Uh, do you use it, Matheus? Do you already use the Kindle?
No, I don't use it. And recently I como é que eu posso dizer? Send? I'm sorry, I forgot the word. Uh, uh, I sold one
Yeah.
because I didn't use it, and I prefer the physical books. So for this reason, I decided to sell it.
I got it. And what about you, Philip? What do you
To sell.
prefer?
I prefer Kindle. I have one. For me, it's better because I can put many books inside. I can adjust the font, the the type of font, and I prefer Kindle than physical books because it's more practical.
Yeah, I just like you. I prefer physical books but I do not like to travel or to use the subway with physical books. It's easier use the Kindle, so I love it.
Uh,
Where
the advantage to use physical books is you can notes, you can notes. It's a advantage. For example, highlight the words or write some explanation. In the Kindle, it's not possible, I believe.
it's possible, and best you can export just uh the the highlights.
Highlights, they put some notes in the, for example, phrase or topic. It's
Yeah,
possible.
it's
Oh,
possible. And I love it because we can export. For example, if I want to remember some topics that I had highlighted, I can export it um and rate, for example, in Amazon.com, I guess. Search
okay.
on YouTube, but you can do this.
I use search about it.
Yeah, it's allowed. It's amazing. And guys, uh, why do you consider that reading is important? It's pretty common. People say, "Oh, reading is important. How physical activity is important. How do it because it's important." But it looks so shallow. People do not go deep and explain why it's important. Uh, so, Philip, why reading is important for you?
For me, read is important, but because they acknowledge, because I need the, the acknowledge to discuss my job, discuss it with my co-works, discuss it with my client. So the main reason the reading for me is acknowledge about technology because my job is demanded a lot of reading, but in other subjects about how to improve my life, my financials, like you said, it's about the technology because technology it's power, it's the one thing that nobody can uh, nobody can tirar, né?
Take.
Pick up, take. No, nobody can take the acknowledge your technology, your acknowledge. Because of that, for me, it's power. That's it.
Perfect. And what about you, Mateus? Why
Uh,
reading is important for you?
so there are many reasons for this question. One of is to take the focus off of the cell phone, for example. It's very important to acquire more technology. And the most important reason for me is because I don't like to speak what I think when I talking about a topic, and I prefer to speak what I learned, what I am supported, and when I read, I came to discuss with more appropriate about a topic and theme, and this is very important for me.
Great. Yeah, for me, I think it's the opportunity to be another place, to read the other histories. Today I finished a book that the name is Maybe You Should Talk with Someone. That's is about psychology, and um, therapy. So it was really interesting to me that um, it's basically a therapist talking about her therapy process. So it was not the theory, it was the practice. So it was really interesting to me. It, I really like that book. Uh, and guys, let's talk about books. Do you have some ritual to read the books? For example, you need to be in a calm place. You can read in any place. You need a moment to read a book. How it works for you, Mateus?
Um, I, I I prefer to read in my free times, and I don't have a specific place that I prefer to read the books. But usually I read at home or in my job. I don't read books, for example, when I am traveling. I prefer uh, to appreciate the travel, but I usually I read at home.
Great. And what about you, Philip?
Uh, I am a distracted person. No? Because of that, I not prefer, but I need to read books in a calm place, no distraction, because in this way I can assimilate better the technology. And other approach that I use is don't read for more than 1 hour, because I have difficult to assimilate the content. My mind is tired after 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and 1 hour. I prefer to stop and continue after that. That's it.
Yeah, good tip. I have to say that I do not do anything with folks in 1 hour. If I in a meeting, for example, my brain just go to another place. And if I'm trying to study or anything,
Yeah.
my brain do not work 1 hour focused in one thing. Just so, yeah, good tip. And Philip talk about commonplace. Did you try library?
No, I even when I was at school, I have never used library to study or read books. Interesting, no? I don't know why, but I have never used library to read or study.
Do you think that there is a library close to your home?
Oh man, public library. I know there is in downtown. I know there is a public library in downtown, by close to my house, only in the school, no, inside the schools around my neighborhood. Public, just one in downtown.
Yeah. And what about you, Matheus? There is a library close to you?
So if he has, I don't remember. Actually, I don't know any library close to me.
Yeah.
Just in schools.
Some years ago, I used it to go to the library to study. Uh,
Yes.
It's a place that I really like to go. It's something that I'm intent to start again because uh, I feel that it's better to study than home. I think that I work from home, so I
Yeah,
spend a lot of time here in my
yeah,
home.
I understand. And I think in the library we can to have more concentration. Uh, but are there libraries close to you?
Not that much in downtown.
Don't tell.
Yeah,
You live in São Paulo, correct?
yeah.
What part of São Paulo? Which?
East.
West. Yeah. Do you know Butantã?
Yeah, I know.
I live in Butantã.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
use it to live in Butantã. Uh, Actually, I came to São Paulo to study at USP, so I use it to live in Butantã.
Oh, great. Excellent. Congratulations.
Yeah. And for this reason, I use it to be in the library every time.
Yes, I understand. I studied in the library of the USP, so I know there. In my case, I studied in the interior, but I come back to São Paulo, to the capital.
Great. Um, and guys, have you ever lost the time of doing something because you were reading a book? Philip,
Sorry, no, could you repeat the question?
have you ever lost the time because you were reading a book and you just focus in that book and just lose the notion of time and spend
Yeah,
more than expected.
yeah. W- When I start the when I start my career in IT, I I want a good book beginning in network, and because I was in the beginning the learn about the technology, this this book is uh, was my partner all the time. When I start to read, I have lose the time. It was good.
Yeah, in my case, I passed the subway station. Uh, I
Oh my
should,
God.
yeah,
Mhm.
I should left, but I just still in the subway.
Yeah, I didn't like to read in places that there are a lot of people around me. I reading at home or at work, but when I was alone or few people around me because my distraction. But I I agree with you. If the word the book is good, the history, the subject, you we inside the history, it's good.
Yeah. Um, what about you, Matheus?
Yeah, besides to study late during the graduation periods, in the pandemic, when I read the Napoleon Hill's book, I lost track of time a little because I really wanted to read that book in full. So in some moments I slept so late because I wanted to complete this book, and it was an excellent book. I don't
Great.
know if you know this book. In Portuguese is Mais Esperto que o Diabo. Hello, okay. It's an
No,
excellent and the old book.
I will
I
search here.
Yeah, I can imagine. The Napoleon Heroes book is very new.
Uh, yeah, I definitely don't know this book, but I will try. I will try to read. I will try
Great.
because I had a list of books to read just right now.
Take notes of this,
Yeah,
of it.
because everyone said to me, "Oh, you should read this book," and okay, I will put it in my list.
Great, great.
So this is the way that I choose my next book because every time someone said to me, "Oh, you should read this book," and I start to search about read the resume, and okay, yeah, so I will read. And
Great.
what about you, Mateus? How do you choose the next book that you will read?
Well, there are some books that I planned in the end of the last year to read, and I didn't start to read yet. So I intend to read them this year yet. I I have a list of books. Besides the specific books of my area, there are some books uh, that I plan to read
Yeah,
about self knowledge. This topic, this theme is more important for me, interesting for me.
yeah, it's always good, self-knowledge. And what about you, Philip? How did you choose the next book that you will read?
So, usually in the beginning of the year, my boss, my company give me some goals, to achieve. And because of that, I need to study about this, take some certification about that. And because of it, I need to study about this subject. This is the way I choose what kind of book I will read. Depends the goal. Because of that, I don't have time to read others books related to other things, because uh, there are a lot of knowledge that I need to study. But I know this is important to read some books in other area, but unfortunately, I don't have time to do that.
Yeah, it's just like um a, a developer plan.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
great.
Talking about the library, the topic before, mm, even bookstore, physical bookstore, I am seeing it decrease, in my region, in my state, Recife or Pernambuco, because I don't know, 5 years ago, there are a lot of physical bookstore inside the shopping or downtown, but now most of them closed. I have some few bookstore, physical bookstore. No? On internet, there are a lot, but in physical, it's decreased. And I remember inside the bookstore had a space to read books, but now it's uh, decreased the number of the bookstore. It's tended to finish in the future, no? I believe. What do you think about it, Mateus? Well,
No, I agree with you. I I think with the same farm you about you, Leo.
Yeah, I think that it tends to end because I do not think it will end uh completely, but there will exist just few stars because now we have Kindle that we can read digital books, we can listen audiobooks, so there is many ways to consume it, books than just the physical store. So because of this, I think that it tends to exist less than few years ago, for example.
yeah,
Yeah, it's sad but it's true. And guys, Matheus, you said that you read the Napoleon books. And something interesting that I really want to know. When you read a book with different characters, do you imagine a voice for someone, for each one?
uh, yeah. Um, so in some situations, specific situations, I try to imagine it, yes, but usually I don't imagine.
And what about you, Philip?
I don't know. I'm thinking right now about it, imagining the king, the Lord of Kings, about there are a lot of monster. It's, when you read it, you can imagine the voice, the characters. Yeah, it seems interesting.
Yeah, what curiosity in the audiobooks they have different voices or
Yeah,
is it
yeah, there are.
yeah?
Yeah, there are
Interesting.
different voices. The characters.
Interesting. Yeah, I ask you because, for example, when I saw Me Before You, Como Eu Era Antes de Você, when I saw the movie in Portuguese, I just said, "This is not her voice." So that was not the voice that I have created for the character in my mind. So to me, it was not her voice. I just saw that movie in English because I do not like that movie in Portuguese because the voice of character
Yeah.
is not the right one to me. Definitely, it's not. Okay, guys. Last question. I think that we can still talk about technology and engineering books. Especially in this question because it's something that um it's sometimes it's good to exchange the knowledge, exchange the information and what we learned about this book. So, Felipe, do you prefer read books alone or discuss book with others afterwards?
I prefer read alone. I prefer read alone, but After that, discuss about the subject with my coworkers, my friends, the same area, same career, because it's interesting because to see other point of view, I like to read and discuss about the subject because books is it's something, how can I say, imagine so, it's related to your mind, imagine, because of that there is many point of view of the same history about the Bible, for example, it's one book. There are a lot of meanings in the same versicle. That's it.
Interesting point. And what about you, Matheus?
Well, similarly, Felipe, I always prefer to read alone, but I'm always open to discuss with my coworkers, friends about the books.
Yeah, and sometimes I just say, you will read this book because I want to talk with you about it. So,
Mhm.
yeah, someone needs to read.
Do you prefer books with a lot of figure?
Characters
Yes.
or
No, like
or
figures, like graphics,
illustrated
or only words.
Without
onwards.
figures.
Only words. I prefer
Yeah,
figure.
yeah. I prefer. It depends actually. If I'm reading um uh Jesus Christ. Uh,
TV,
no,
cartoon.
no, no. If I'm not reading a technology book. If I'm reading a history book, for example, Harry Potter or any other book like that, I like just the letters. I do not like figures. But if I'm reading, for example, some technology books, I think that figures can help us to understand. So it's better.
Yeah, but if you read books about the history, medieval, we can have a map, to see the position, the the cities, things like that. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think it depends of the context. There's different books. For example, I have two fantastic fantastic beasts and where we can find them, something like this. Animais Fantásticos e Onde Habitam. And I have the illustrated version and the book just. So I like both, but in this case, I prefer the illustrated because
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
yeah.
Okay, guys. So, our time finished. I have to share with you the link to our survey. So
Okay,
please answer this survey, okay? I send the link on the chat. And that's it, guys. My meetings are on Friday at 7 p.m. So you are more than welcome there, okay?
okay, Léo.
So
Okay,
that's it, guys. Have a great weekend and see you.
See
Bye
you,
bye.
Matheus. Bye bye.
see you.